his butt.
Wait a minute, Doc.
Wait a minute. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Hold up just a minute and top of the morning to you. This is Chase. I'm with Andrew, and we've got Kyle coming our way via the AG1 satellite phone.
How outdated. What a sconce, as he would say.
Athletic Greens sponsoring the satellite phone today.
AG1, rebranded AG1.
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 Yeah. They don't know that they've sponsored it yet.
But they have.
We're gonna
But
get
it is green.
Yeah. Tis the season, baby.
Tis the season.
Tis the season.
Speaking of the season, and speaking of Athletic Greens, we're talking about Luck of the Irish today.
Oh, what a classic.
Yeah.
Instant classic.
We're getting 2 seasons in one. March Madness is starting up, and on top of that, we've got St. Patrick's Day. So what better movie than the all-time classic Luck of the
I
Irish?
will say this is one of my favorite times of the year. We're getting past the spring, and then you have March Madness, which I think is maybe the greatest sporting event in the world, and it's just a nice concoction of things.
I think that was a lot of loftiness to put on one sporting event.
It's not. I mean, I compare it to the World Cup. I don't give a fuck. I compare it to the World Cup.
What about the Olympics? The Olympics doesn't hold a candle
enjoy
to
March Madness more than the Olympics, 100%.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, and I'm not the only one who feels that way. So get off your fucking high horse and pipe the fuck down,
all of the other 30,000 Americans.
Yeah, that's why there's millions upon millions that view March Madness on a yearly basis, and the NCAA makes billions off it.
Compared to the World Cup and the Olympics, no.
You two. It's
subjective, you stupid fuck.
Is this really what we think about when we think about the Irish? We think about bickering?
Well, there is a heated sense of,
entitlement.
Emotions. I don't know about entitlement, but anger.
Anger. Abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like
I'm drunk as fuck right now. I'm so drunk.
Yeah, clearly you're very emotional.
So let's talk about this real fast. We're doing a quick episode on this movie. We could do it on our normal podcast, but we're not going to because for reasons. Made for TV Disney movies were a big thing in our childhood. Do you both remember those?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
There's quite a few of them.
Especially this one.
Yes, this one is, I remember it too well.
This one was my favorite growing up because I loved basketball. And played a lot of basketball as a kid, and didn't know this at the time, but I was really Irish.
Yeah,
you didn't know that, Chase?
I didn't know it.
Wow, why
didn't
you know your heritage, bro? Did you not care about your heritage?
From Alabama.
Oh,
we don't have heritage.
That's right. You're just American.
I'm American.
Yeah,
but just like in this movie, I'm an American before anything else.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
But what do you guys remember about this movie, real quick?
I saw this on TV when it came out. I remember the weekend it came out, my dad and I and my brother were like, sweet, let's watch it. It's going to be fucking great. And then we watched it and I was like, yeah, it was pretty cool. It was just fine.
Just like the Irish.
They were just fine. They were just fine.
Just as underwhelming as the country itself.
I love this one. I watched it every time it came on, and it would come on Friday nights at 6 or 7 o'clock.
6 or 7. That's when they premiered too. I probably watched it on its premiere. I don't vividly remember that, but we made a point to watch most of those Disney Channel original home videos or movies when they first premiered. So
this one and Smart House
were great,
which was just 2001: A Space Odyssey.
There was Xenon, Space Girl. There was Brinked. Was it Johnny Tsunami? What was that? Is it Johnny Tsunami? Is that the one I'm thinking of? Where he was the surfer in Hawaii or whatever, California. That was another big one.
Is that the one where he was a drug lord?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he had an in with the Sinaloa cartel.
There was all kinds of Disney movies that came out at the time that were relevant to whatever was going on in society.
But I remember the suspense of the basketball game, and them playing in the state championship, and his ears getting pointy.
Shell necklace.
That too.
Baggy clothes, all that stuff. Yeah. We don't have any box office mojo numbers for this, Andrew.
Because it wasn't released in theaters.
Yeah, it was a made-for-TV movie. So I wanted to see if you found a ranking.
Oh, yeah. I found a couple.
All right.
Yeah. One from The Ringer and one from Entertainment Weekly. So two reputable sources.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Preeminent sources,
yes. Top 40.
Top 40 Disney. I didn't even know they made that many. Because was Halloween Town one of those?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And Halloween Town High.
Unfortunately.
And High School Musical, the original.
And then there was a mummy one, right? Like I
Sure, sure, yeah.
it was something stupid like there goes my mummy. But
wasn't that called MILFs? Mummies I'd like to friend.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there.
if it's not, we're about to write that one. Where's Derek? When you need him. Kyle, take a guess where Luck of the Irish falls on the Ranker or Entertainment Weekly or Ringer or whatever the
Don't
fuck it is.
disrespect the Ringer. Come on.
I'm going to hope 40th, but I'm going to guess it's probably not. So a realistic guess is going to be 23.
Okay, Chase.
I'm going to say it's 12th. I'm going to say it's up there.
12th. Okay, so you guys are both wrong, obviously. I mean, it's one number out of 40, so chances were pretty low that you were going to get that right.
The chances were 1 out of 40, Andrew.
But I will tell you this. Thanks, genius. Both of these lists, Luck of the Irish, fell in the top 10.
Really?
Yep.
Kyle,
That's
take a
so
second guess. I'm going to say 6th.
Oh, I'm going to say 8th.
It was 5th in Entertainment Weekly and 7th
Ew. That's
from
nasty.
the Ringers list.
So
What was number 1? High
Yeah,
School
what beat
Musical?
it out?
Entertainment Weekly's number 1 was Smart House, which is solid.
That makes sense. I
And
figured that
then
would be top 5.
The Ringers number 1 was High School Musical, the original. And that makes perfect sense to me
Yeah,
as well. You could make a case for either of those being the best Disney Channel original. So, yeah, 5 and 7. It's quite high.
But these movies are shit, though.
They are, and they're made for kids. They're made for people who are 7, 8, 9, 10
Literally
years
like
old.
the worst people of humanity.
Little pea brains,
Just idiots.
people who don't
have
think.
nothing to contribute.
Yeah,
Fucking idiots.
stupid kids.
They were. Yeah, I don't know.
kidding.
These movies came off as more tweenish. Like they came
They
off.
are kinda
Yeah, I mean,
tweenish.
this dude's in high school. You know,
Yeah.
you're
And
not
he gets a
targeting
peck on the cheek from that one bitch. He's like, "Nice job." Mwah.
That
I was
one-
like,
that
that's
one
sexually
bitch?
provocative.
that one bitch, Kyle. Come on, we're better than that.
Sorry, that blonde-haired bitch.
Yeah, I always felt like these movies hit that 12-year-old demographic where it's kind of like that pre-high school crowd. I don't think that they were necessarily kids' movies. I think that they were trying to go for a different demographic. They just wrote it like kids, which we're about to dive into. These movies suck. Like
They're not good.
but there was a lot of nostalgia for me on this. I wanted to be that kid in high school. I wanted to.
You wanted to be a state championship basketball winner,
Absolutely.
star player,
Absolutely.
luckiest guy in the world.
Lucky.
Just run
Irish,
all over Florence.
the most Irish guy in the world because he's a fucking leprechaun.
What a concept!
What a
you know?
concept! And his family's from Ohio.
His dad's from the land of Erie.
Yeah.
Good old Cleveland, Kyle's favorite city in the United States of America.
It's like the preeminent, like most thought of city when you think of like inclusion, equity, beauty, accessibility. Some place that doesn't look like a fucking garbage dump, fucked up war zone.
Now, just to
It's
play devil's advocate, how would someone from Cleveland describe Cincinnati?
a beacon of hope and light
Yep,
in a
okay.
world of gray and
he-
darkness.
He's not wrong there. So
Yeah,
no
I-
bias
If
whatsoever.
you're comparing Cincinnati and Cleveland, you're already losing because there is no comparison. Cleveland is a dirt city. It is one of the worst cities I've ever been in. There is nothing about it that is like redeeming. It is flat as fuck. It's cold as fuck, and it tastes like a tailpipe outside.
Okay. Speaking
I don't
of
want to get
tasting,
into it anymore. It's just annoying.
Kyle, would you
It's an
say
annoying
you're the
place.
preemptive expert on the city of Cleveland and what it brings to the world as a whole?
Yeah, I've been there twice.
Okay, yeah.
all right. What does the Irish bring to the world as a whole?
Oh,
Well, depression,
This on the
alcohol
Alcoholism.
consumption, anger, family
fri-
issues,
fried food, a lack of
po-
vegetables.
potatoes.
lack of
oh.
spice.
Oh, I forgot famine.
Yep.
Let's see. What
Civil
else?
War.
Religious hatred.
Skin cancer,
Hatred
What
through
else?
religion, I should say.
Yeah.
hatred through religion, persecution through religion.
Yeah.
should we say?
Yeah.
Hating each other.
But I
getting
was going to
cut.
say just luck, in
That's
general.
right.
They do bring a sense of luck to humanity, and that's not something that you should scoff
Yeah.
at. So,
We're
They're
never
lucky they didn't all die in the famine. There you go.
Okay, last question. What does Disney bring into the world?
Child trafficking, money laundering, mega corporate greed,
The Epstein list.
Yeah.
Ruining Star Wars.
extreme communist agendas,
Yes.
Ruining Marvel.
ruining Marvel,
woke-
ruining Star Wars.
Woke
Yep.
agendas.
Woke, yes.
What else? What else, Andrew?
So
Anti-Semitism.
we can go.
For sure.
Yeah.
We can go all day with this.
Sorry, Disney, don't sue us.
Yeah, they won't. They don't care about us.
They don't care about us.
What they're going to sue us for? What, $45?
Well, you never know.
So let's go ahead and smash those three concepts together: Cleveland, Irish, and Disney, and we get this beautiful movie that talks about like hope and coming together. So let's start it off, Andrew. Luck of the Irish. Where does this movie start off with? And we're going to do a quick blow by blow.
We got to do a quick one. I don't want to waste time on this.
Yeah.
I don't remember what is the opening scene. Honestly, I just
It's like the basketball game, right?
oh
and he
yes. They're down by a point with like 30 seconds left, and what's his name?
Kyle, right?
Kyle Johnson.
Yeah, it's the
Great
most-
Irish
His
name.
first name is Kyle Johnson with his last name.
Son. Kyle Johnsonson.
Will.
Kyle Johnson, he like throws the ball away, and then, there's like a scrum for the ball, and then
Are we playing rugby or is this a fucking what is this?
It's supposed to be basketball, but someone like the opposing team throws the ball, and he just kind of like hits it with his hand as hard as he could, and it rainbows it up into the
Physically not possible.
not possible because he's from like that. It's like at the half court.
He's
line.
he's parallel to the ground.
Yeah. It was like a save in volleyball. He hits it. Like I said, it rainbows up and goes in, and they win the game in the quarterfinals and move on to the semis. And that's what leads us into Luck of the Irish.
Actually, and before that even happened, now that I'm remembering that we had this big old, this land is my land, this land is your land.
Wasn't that at the end?
That's at the end, Chase. This is what happened. Everybody shut up.
It was at the
Shut up.
It was at the beginning too, because it opens with
What
him.
they were doing was they were having some kind of like, what was it, mock UN like student body like diversity thing, and we open up with a Native American ceremony. Who, out of all the groups of people in this movie who have been maligned and slighted, the movie should be about them. It shouldn't be about the Irish.
Which was the craziest part to me is like, and it goes directly to Kyle shrinking, and he's like, "Well, this is my life," blah 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 blah, and it opens up to the volleyball shot
That's
that we
right.
just described.
That's right, yeah.
So it's like he's trying to tell this story about how the Irish were always the most hated people in the world, and had to work really hard to get where they're at. And here we go. Here's some Disney insensitivity training.
Whatever. It's very...
So who is Kyle Johnson?
He's the luckiest guy at his high school. Star basketball player. Seems like
Perfectly
a pretty...
symmetrical face.
Yeah, bland human, it seems.
He finds like $10 bills everywhere.
Yeah,
he's just... His luck is extreme.
He's got one friend named Russell who's also on the basketball team with him and also happens to be black, which, good for him
into
for
play later.
diversifying
Good for
his
him for
friendship.
being black. Way to make that choice.
No, good for Kyle for having a diversified friend group. He's the luckiest guy in school. Whatever. He's got it easy. He's a jock. He doesn't seem like a typical jock, but he's pretty bland and has a boring family life and whatever.
And at school, they're doing Diversity Day or whatever. So he's trying to find out, or no, it's Heritage
Day
Month or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's trying to figure out where his family heritage. He's like, I'm American. I had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, we worked for our money.
Yeah, we came from something.
Nothing came easy.
And his parent, he keeps asking his weird parents.
And they're like, I'm from Cleveland, son.
I'm from Cleveland. You're from Cleveland.
You're
Our
American.
family's from Cleveland, son. Cleveland. It was like a Cleveland tourism
They
video.
mentioned
It really
Cleveland
was
like
It
10
was
times.
Really annoying.
And they're super smiley. It's like almost like his parents were robots.
Yeah.
Also, I want to take this moment to say the acting in this movie is some of the worst I've seen in a long time. Even
pretty bad.
on this show, where we go back and watch really bad movies sometimes, this movie took a shit on the art of acting, and it was pretty bad.
And the art of writing, too.
Oh, everything was awful in this.
Not to sound
Boyo.
like curmudgeoned old fucks, but
I mean, this is
it's just-
obviously like a D- script, and
Yes.
the best performances
Yes.
we got was about a D+. Like there's not a lot happening here, folks.
But to move things along, there's this girl at school who keeps bugging him about what he's going to do about Heritage Day, and he's like, I don't care. I'm playing basketball. Like, I don't need to think about my heritage. And she's like, well, fine, your loss. And then I guess guilt starts to get to him. He starts to dig a little bit. He finds out that, he goes through his dad's yearbook from 1978, high school yearbook. He finds out his dad's name isn't Bob Johnson. It's actually Bob Smith.
Yeah,
Which okay.
I was like, what's
why is that? Why are you using that as a red flag?
White person's name to another.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also, go on. Like, we'll uncover this more as we go.
I was just going to say, his mom sees that he's going through birth certificates and yearbooks and trying to dig a little bit deeper because he keeps asking about heritage. He goes to the school computer. He goes to whatever search engine he was using and just types in the word Johnson, which isn't really like a great, word to use.
Yeah, he got a bunch of porn sites.
Yeah, I was gonna say he got
that
a bunch
was a
of
deleted scene.
White dicks,
I think his parents would love for him to like be masturbating as opposed to looking up his family heritage.
Probably.
They would love it. Yeah, because at this point the parents are so shady about everything. I'm thinking at this point that they are KGB spies that are like nesting in America, trying to sow unrest because they're so. The mother especially is like, yeah, why do you don't need to look. Don't worry about that.
You're from Cleveland.
I made you a fruit bar today. Look, I made you a fruit bar, and here is a thing of milk too. Aha!
And she's serving them like bean sprout salad within like leaves of like romaine that I don't even know what the fuck she was serving them, but like the weirdest shit.
They're making a point that she's serving the most generic food
stuff,
that cannot be tied to any heritage in any place in the world. It's the food that falls in the middle, which is the most disgusting food out there.
Little tidbit of information that we forgot to add is he always wears a lucky coin. And that was kind of addressed, I think, in like one of like the first scenes with his family. It's like,
because they go to that little like that festival.
Yep.
It's like an Irish festival, and they start step dancing, and all of a sudden he starts step dancing, and his friend Russell's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I don't know. It's just so easy."
Well, yeah, because he finds out like through something that he's Irish.
Yes,
he's like, I may be Irish, so let me go to an Irish festival to find out who I am or about my family heritage. So he goes to this fake ass Irish festival. And he meets the guy, the Lord of the Step, right?
Yeah, Seamus is his name,
Seamus
apparently.
Dickus. Like, he is...
That's the guy who's in Psych, if you ever watched that show.
Yeah.
Psych.
Do like that show. But yeah, it's just a weird Irish festival and whatever. Like, I think they filmed this in Utah, just whatever, like white bread,
it was.
region. It was filmed in Utah. I did confirm that. Like Farmington, north of Salt Lake City. So
yes.
Not even in
you
Cleveland.
can tell.
No, you can. But yeah, he goes to this Irish festival and then, whatever. He guesses he's Irish. He goes home, falls asleep, wakes up, sees this little necklace with his gold coin on his trophy, puts it on, and then knocks the trophy off the desk and hits his foot, and then his luckiness starts to unravel.
And he shrank a little bit.
Yeah, he's starting to shrink, like a half inch or something like that.
And his mom starts talking in
an Irish dialect.
Throwback Irish accent, too.
Kyle, how would you rate her Irish dialect in this? What do you think it...
About a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
Explain your ranking.
It does get better. I'll explain my ranking.
Yeah, explain it.
Or rating.
It's wholly general, and having just come back from Ireland 6 months ago, that is not how one particular person in Ireland sounds. There's a couple different dialects that are there, and most of the time you can't understand what they're saying because they're talking like this the whole time.
They're so fast. They're very...
They're kind of fast with it. You don't understand what they're saying.
It was
and
like she was
very much like this.
Top of the morning to you there. Here's some bangers and mash.
I'm gonna step on your cock with my little toe. Like
it's like she was doing a dialect for like a musical theater performance. It was very.
It was not great.
It wasn't.
I have heard word. At least she was hitting the vowels and like a lot of like the overwhelming things. Fine, but like it wasn't nuanced.
Every time she said the word America, it was bad. She was like America. It was
America.
It was an American's version of what an Irish person would sound like.
100%.
There are much better dialects in this movie from people that are clearly Irish.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, after that Irish festival, her parents are like, oh, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to let him in on the secret. He comes down to breakfast and she starts speaking in that dialect. Her red hair is very curly and wavy, and she's wearing something that's a little bit more
1800s Irish,
kind of, but also still like modern-esque.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's doing a lot of the old school like Irish things. Like Irish people stopped existing after the 1800s, and this is the only way we can go back to it. She's got like the fireplace going with the smoker, and she's trying to smoke.
It's Pete.
Yeah,
It's Pete.
trying to smoke sausage for them in like a traditional way. Like it's a little over the top.
Yeah. But then they just break the seal like, hey, son, we're Irish. You're Irish.
Except me, I'm from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Which you also, Dad, have to come from somewhere too. But
Whatever.
he's just like, I'm Cleveland. I'm American.
That's a good joke.
It's like
there.
I want to
Keep
pause
running
right
with
here
it.
and just say that like this is the most underwhelming surprise of all time because I knew immediately that he was Irish somewhere in his lineage. There is no doubt about
Somewhere
that.
from the British Isles or
Somewhere.
Germany, probably. I mean,
Not to mention the movie's called Luck of the Irish, and like, it's just like rip the Band-Aid off. We don't need all this song and dance.
but the fact that they're like withholding that information from a generic white boy,
White
it's like,
bread mayonnaise boy.
wow, what gave it away?
Yeah, it was. I just rewatching this for the first time as a child. I was like, yeah, this is no shit. No shit.
Yeah, and back to it, his mom had red hair. Like there was Irish.
His
or
dad
Scottish.
also had kind of reddish hair
Yeah,
too.
so it's like there was. I mean, he should have known that from day one.
Yeah.
But it turns out he's not just Irish, which we'll get to. It's
yeah.
he's not just got a little Irish DNA in him.
Yeah, so he has a very unlucky day that follows suit.
Worst basketball game I ever seen
Can't
someone
find
play.
his homework, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, worst basketball game ever. Say that again.
He drinks out of the water fountain. No water comes out, but yet he thinks that he's getting water when it's all going on his dick. It's all getting pressed on his shorts. So it looks like he pissed himself.
I mean, yeah, that did happen. And he tried to talk to a girl, and she was like, ooh, what a loser.
Yeah, even though he was the hero the day that
She kissed him on the cheek the day before.
I think it was a different girl, to be fair.
No, that was the same girl. It was the same blonde-haired chick.
I think it was someone different. I think this guy's a
Irish and
player,
white
man.
people look the same.
Same one.
But yeah, and he can't shake it, and he's like, what's going on? What's going on? And then I think he eventually discovers that the gold coin necklace that he wears is a fake. There was something
He doesn't discover it till later. His mom starts shrinking. She's starting to like, and we're skipping.
We're skipping a bunch, but
Yeah.
he's in science, and they ask him like, "What's like?" He gets a pop quiz question like, "What metals are attracted to what's the better way to
What
put
metals
this?
are magnetic?
Sorry,
besides
yes,
iron?
he gets asked the question, "What metals are magnetic?" And it's iron. I don't even fucking know. Cobalt,
Copper and nickel.
there you go. Copper and nickel.
No,
Thank
no,
you.
cobalt and nickel. You're right. It was cobalt and nickel. It was
Okay.
cobalt.
But yeah, and then he somehow discovers that his necklace is iron, just painted gold, because it's attracted to a magnet.
Yeah, they're doing their lab experiments, and his necklace just hits, and he's like, "Oh shit!"
No wonder my life has changed in a day. And so he goes home, and
Not even a day,
not
like
even
in
it's
6 hours.
yeah, maybe 16.
Yeah.
But he goes home and he finds his mother to have been shrunk down to the size of like a shoe. She's tiny.
So he said you're a foot tall.
She wasn't a
and
foot
she's
tall. She was maybe like 6 inches, 7
maybe
inches.
eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, son, there's something more that we have to tell you. You're not actually just Irish. You're a leprechaun. And it's like, okay, cool, neat.
Wow.
Way to
And
get into the
at this point, then
stereotypes
I'm like, well, this is like the movie where he gets into his parents' drug stash, and this is like nearing the end of his life.
Yeah.
Well, and what's weird about it is they have to explain to him that like, oh, the reason you're not shrinking as fast is because you're only half leprechaun because
Yeah.
I son am from Cleveland.
Yep.
And
I'm not a leprechaun. Your mom is the only leprechaun here.
And his mom
Besides you,
divulges
but-
the information that, oh, you need to go talk to your grandfather who owns the potato place.
And she divulges information because she wants him to be a normal American boy who is not prone to
Thinking to a
prejudice
leprechaun.
and hatred from others.
Yeah, because like the Irish, they so much hate.
They had it bad back then in the 1800s. And then that's when he says, "Oh, well, I think my coin is a counterfeit. I think it's fake." And she's like, "Oh, yes, it's just iron. Oh, your grandfather must have taken your coin, and you got to go see him." And he ran into his grandfather at that fair.
Who owns a potato chip company.
Yeah, Emerald Isles. Emerald Isles.
Emerald Isle Potato Chip Company.
Yeah. So we're hitting all the stereotypes today.
And they think that his grandfather stole the coin, lifted it off his person at the festival the other day when they ran into him, just on a whim. So he's got to go confront him, and he gets to the potato chip company with his dad, and they're talking to security guard who also happens to be Irish. Every single person in this potato chip factory is Irish. Which
and
is,
this is where we get some of the worst dialects. Like
oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful.
Here's my question:
I can't even tell you.
we need to look it up and see how many Irish people live in the state of Utah.
I can do that for
Yeah.
you. Let's keep the conversation going. I'll give you a number here in a second.
Irish national.
Yeah. Anyway, so he goes in and his grandfather's like really pissed at him, has nothing to do with him, hates his mom too, because the thing about it is that grandfather didn't want his mom to break tradition and marry a non-Irish man.
Yeah.
The Irish, everybody.
How cool.
And what do you got, Andrew?
So in Utah, approximately 5.9% of the population claims Irish ancestry. That's just Irish ancestry. But
are they national? Are they because they're not going to speak like that if they have you and I have heritage.
I don't think that number is even going to register.
That's crazy. That's so dumb.
Yeah. So, a good amount of whites, 6% of whites in Utah have Irish heritage. I will say Grand County has a large percentage of Irish ancestry at 19%, meaning there's probably a number of Irish nationalists who lived or do live in Grand County, but that's also in the middle of nowhere, Utah. So not where this is filmed or takes place. But yeah, not many Irish nationalists in this state, except where they are.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Confirmed.
Neat.
So then I think at this point, his grandfather's like, it's Seamus. It's the...
Yeah, they have a whole chase with security to get to his grandfather who is estranged or whatever. And he's like, yeah, it's Seamus. He's a leprechaun. I don't even know what the word they used.
His grandfather's like, they've been trying to steal our family's luck. The Conway is right.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah,
which is also
Fucking gypsy scum.
Is Conway an Irish name?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. I was curious about that because I think it was because the way this movie was going, I think they were going to do the McTavishes or McElmaine or whatever.
No, this Seamus dude is Irish. He's just not a leprechaun, and he covets what they have. So
stealing
their
fortune.
gold and their luck.
So the family reconvenes and they're all arguing. The grandfather's shrinking too. The dialogue for this movie is whatever Irish slang we can fill up here, we're gonna
spuds.
But not just Irish slang, Irish slang from the 50s and 60s.
That's
it's
stereotypical
not even remotely.
And whatever.
Yeah, it's just very stereotypical. Nothing cool. They're not saying slag or those or anything.
Yeah, it's just a lot of nonsense at this point. I mean, we get to one scene where they're just bickering, and then it starts raining. And their grandfather's car, their old Cadillac, breaks down.
Bright green.
And it the top is down, and then it gets soaked, and they're all just getting soaked in the rain. And they have this conclusion together that why are we arguing like actual Irish people when we can be solving an issue here?
Well, we missed a portion. They're chasing Seamus and his gang to get his coin back because they know that he has it. And he does. And he's driving like a Winnebago or like an RV with like him and his
That's
buddies.
an Irish tour bus,
Yeah,
Andrew.
Yeah, whatever. And they have a little car chase through town. They get a flat, and Seamus drives off, and that's when they're stuck in the rain. They're also with his like love interest. I forgot her name, but she's organizing the Heritage Day. She showed up in there at some point.
She was on a field trip at the potato place.
Not even really important, but she's with the Young Achievers. So it's grandfather, Kyle, mom, dad, Russell, and love interest. And I have to mention this. They're
really weird.
It's a weird conglomerate. Yeah. They're sitting in this car crying. Gold's gone. Seamus is away. And the love interest girl is like, you Irish are resilient. You didn't make much money when you first came over here, but you persevered and worked hard, and you can do it. And there was a joke that was thrown in there by Russell, who was black, and she says, you were paid small amounts of wages or whatever, and he says something like, hey, at least you were paid. Like, how dark is that?
Jesus.
I laughed
So
out
fucking
loud
dark.
at that. I laughed out loud. So they threw that in there thinking people wouldn't catch it.
Right.
Kids would not catch that.
And the thing too is like it's like we're trying to treat the Irish like they're the ones that were the
oppressed.
the oppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They come together and they're like, we don't need luck. We have each other.
And then what do they see once the storm clears is a rainbow. And they got to go to the end of the rainbow to find the pot of gold. And they do. And what's at the end of the rainbow?
Winnebago.
It's the Winnebago. And, in the meantime, Seamus and his crew are inside enjoying a nice meal for some celebration. I don't know what the occasion was.
They stole the coin and got away.
I guess that's what they were celebrating. They were singing like Irish folk songs and stuff like that. Songs about like Molly Malone and, again, just stereotypical shit.
Very stereotypical.
And also, I want to point this out too. So, Kyle has frosted tips, like the stereotypical late 90s.
Yes, and they're turning red.
And they're turning red, but it looks very much orange. It looks awful.
Yeah, we forgot to mention that during his unlucky day, he starts to shrink in size. His hair starts to get orangey red, and his ears are starting to get pointy because he's turning into the leprechaun. He needs that luck to keep him a human, if you will. But
it turns out all you need to do is just challenge Seamus to a basketball game over his family's luck.
Not even that. They had to do it. They're in the Winnebago. They find the gold coin in this box, this old wooden chest. He happens to find his gold coin amongst like thousands of others. Just plucks it right out. Oh, here it is. Yada yada yada. And Seamus walks in. And at this point, they're like, oh, what do we do? Oh, yeah, Seamus is weak when you get him to bet on something. So he bets him to a game of sports. We're not doing the basketball game yet. He just says sports. And we're taken back to like, I don't even know what time period this is. This is like, it's like ancient Celtic times.
It is.
And they're playing like, I don't know, Kyle, what sports they're playing?
They're playing hurling. They're doing a stone toss. They're doing
wheel
Irish
toss.
step dance.
Irish step
the wheel
dancing,
toss. They're doing spear throwing. Just like inane stuff. Like just kind of like bizarre. Like some of that stuff they still play, like hurling, but like nobody's doing a fucking like. Actually, I don't know. I take that back because having watched television in Ireland, it's like there's 3 channels and 2 of them speak English. The other 2 are in Celtic, and they're doing some kind of weird ancient thing with horses. Or like sticks and stones bullshit. Like it's kind of annoying.
But he bet him. He was like, if I win in a game of sports, just very generic sports, then I get my gold coin back and all is history.
Which, to be fair, he had the coin in his hand. All he had to do was just like get away.
Yeah, he could have just kicked him in the balls and ran out.
Yeah, like we didn't need this nonsense. Like it's his coin.
Yeah,
call the police.
They had a little kitchenette there. Just grab a knife and threaten him. Like,
yeah, like I will stab you right now. We'll play a game of your death.
You're gonna die in this Winnebago, Seamus. Step down, buddy.
A true Irish tradition is someone dying in a Winnebago.
Well, anyway,
that is true.
It is. Yeah, you can't forget that. But they tie in their game of ancient Celtic sports, and Seamus was like, "You didn't bet that if we drew that you'd win, so I'm keeping your coin." And then it's like, okay, well, where do we go next? And then I don't know. They weasel him into another bet, play a game of basketball.
But what do they say? But Andrew, they get him into another bet. But what is like the grounds of the bet?
He'd sleep with my mother, I think is what you said.
No,
So darn.
you know what the grounds are, so share it with all of our
So
two listeners.
they're like, all right, you might have won this time, but how about I bet you that if I beat you at basketball
without my coin.
that without a coin, then you can have our luck and you can go do whatever you want, essentially. But if I win, you have to retire to the lake
Land of Erie.
Yes. And he says, well, why don't you pronounce it right? It's Ari. And it's like, okay, cool. We see where this is going. So what happens then?
They go to the basketball game, and turns out they're transported to their championship game because they won their semi game the night before, even though we played horrible.
The quarters, when we opened, so they played every back to back games, and obviously at home.
Yeah,
which is weird.
It is weird, but it's tied 62.
Why is this not at a neutral site?
Yeah.
It's usually when state championships are played on a weekend, not during a school night. So
it's tied at 62. They're in their first overtime. Russell and Kyle show up to the huddle, and the coach's like, "Where the hell were you?" Oh, okay, well, get in there now and play. And they play 3 minutes, and there's some back and forth. Sheamus is on that team with his buddies, but it appears
they look to us, an audience, and to Kyle as like who they really are.
High
but
schoolers.
Everybody else, they look like roided out high schoolers who are just like acne the fuck up.
42-year-old high schoolers.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Grandpa is sitting up on the backboard, but no one can see that except Kyle and Russell, I guess. But they have a little back and forth. Sheamus and his team get a 7-point lead. Grandpa gives Russell this, quote, lucky coin. It's just a placebo effect. And they go on a run, and they win on a last-second shot, even though Sheamus, becomes green and, becomes a leprechaun himself with red eyes.
Becomes, this terrifying...
demonic thing.
Pedophilic-looking,
almost like the Grinch. Almost looked like the Grinch. Didn't have the
It
body
looked
hair,
like something
but
out of Little Nicky.
yeah.
Yeah, just something that you're like, I bet there's alcohol on him somewhere. Maybe some
Had
cocaine.
to. But to wrap it up, they win, and Sheamus is like, okay, well, here's your coin, but I'm just going to go back to Ireland. Ha, 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 ha. And it's like, no, and this is where you were saying, no, I said land of Erie. He's like, no, you meant Ire. No, Erie, like Cleveland, Ohio. And then he gets the sudden realization that he has to go to Ohio forever. And
Which is a awful punishment. This movie
Yeah.
should have been rated R.
to be stuck
Not just Ohio, but the middle of Lake Erie.
Erie, which is a gross lake. No offense. It is. It's not very nice.
You don't have to.
Offense meant.
No one listening.
You're right. I don't even need to apologize. But
Offense is meant, and we're sending hate from Atlanta.
always. But he gets his body, little leprechaun body. I guess he became a leprechaun, or he got shrunk down after he lost that bet. I don't know. I thought he wasn't a leprechaun, but he's not microscopic size, but he's probably less than 5 inches in height. But
This made
I just
no
want
sense.
to
didn't.
say off of this really quickly. This story could have been ended right then and there. They could have just fucking squashed him like a bug.
Nope, but he has to be transported to the body of water that is Lake
Must
Erie.
be.
He gets plunked down into the water. They flash back, and they get to celebrate their championship. But before they end the movie, what happens? Where do they go? They're back in the auditorium, and what's going on? It's Heritage Day.
Everybody is joining in unity over the Irish and their
Yeah,
triumph. And
Kyle is wearing a Cleveland Browns t-shirt while doing some Irish step dancing, which was essentially just tap dancing. It really wasn't much of a step dance routine at that point. But yeah, he does that, and he's got a goofy grin on his face, and everyone's like, yeah, look at him go. He looks so cool up there.
the Browns suck.
The Browns fucking suck, but that step dancing rocks. Let's go, Kyle. And then they
And then
all join hands and sing This Land Is My Land, and I wanted to just throw something at the TV.
Might as well be called This Land Is the Irish's. This land is the Germans. It's nothing.
Which is funny because I think
Know yourselves.
Should we rewrite it?
Yeah, we should because that's what it is, and that's it's just very tone deaf.
what's funny is This Land Is Your Land was written by Woody Guthrie, and it was outlawed in the country because they thought it had communist overtones in it back in the late 50s, early 60s. But here we are singing it in a white bread auditorium with some minorities in there. It's not all whites, but Yeah, just some.
They just can't talk. Or
They
do anything.
can't do anything.
No.
Because they don't understand what the Irish
No,
went through.
Irish went through a lot, and if you aren't Irish, then you don't
Fuck
know,
you.
and you're ignorant.
Yeah.
So you have no idea.
Shut up
Especially
and
if you're
sit
black.
down. All right, this isn't about you.
This isn't about. Yeah, we own this country because we worked hard for low pay.
Yeah. Low pay. At least we were paid, though.
At least. Not to get all preachy, but that is what it is, and that's the movie. So that's where it ends.
This movie sucked.
Yeah, we wasted too much time on this. We probably could have wrapped that up in 15.
Look,
but
and I will say too, as like a big nostalgia podcast that we are, yeah, I remembered everything when I started watching that. I was like, oh yeah. But like as an adult now, there's nothing that holds up to in any shape or form. Acting sucked.
it was just trash.
It was
and I know it was
awful.
made for kids, but there are kids movies that are far better than this.
And then also
Far.
on this podcast, we can't just keep using that as like a get out of jail free card.
We got to put our foot down and say something sucks. So
Right, and this is not
does.
a kids movie. This is a tween movie.
It's tween. It's
tween trash and hell.
yeah.
is
y'all,
what it is.
Y'all got to guess what the IMDb score is.
Oh, it can't. Yeah, I'm sure
3.
this one has to be juiced. This one's juiced because I can hear it. I can hear it from
No.
the back of the room.
I
that
want you
there
to
is like
guess.
somebody in like their living room right now going, I bet Lucky the Irish still hold. I bet it's still good. I remember that movie. That movie was good. Smart House is good too.
Okay, give me what you think the score is, both of you.
3.
6.8.
Oh, that's a wide discrepancy there. It's much closer to Chase. It's 6.1.
No,
it
are
is
you kidding me?
6.1. This should be a
Stop doing this.
3.1. It should be a
God.
3.1.
Oh
No.
my God.
You keep doing it. You people are listening to this. You're still doing it.
And what's funny is I went back and looked at some of those ratings, and a lot of them are from like 2002, 2008, 2011. So some of the ones that were like within recent years, like 2022 or 2018, were really low, but ones close to the release date were still pretty high. And I don't know if they were just youngsters back then, but how many 13-year-olds were on IMDb in 2002?
Like, who knew about IMDb? Like who had I didn't even have internet in 2001.
But it existed. So 2008 and
exist,
2002.
Yeah, but like I wasn't the one getting on there and juicing these scores. That means that these were adults on
Doing
here
it now.
and doing it.
These are adults from Cleveland, Ohio in 2002 that love the shout outs.
No,
And
this is people doing it now. This is people watching it before we've done this episode recently in the last 10 years going, oh my God, I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid,
No,
but it was a great movie.
I'm telling you,
and
Kyle,
this is what we're talking about, folks. You got to
those-
stop doing that shit. Watch it before you rate it.
to be fair, Kyle, most of the good reviews were from the early 2000s. The most recent ones were.
So let's do this now. So you've got 4 days till St. Patrick's Day hits. That's why we're doing this episode. Go watch this shitty ass movie, and then I want you all to go in, create an IMDb account, and give this movie what it really deserves. It deserves negative ratings. I know you can't do that on IMDb,
But give it a 1.
Let's take our rating system back and stop living through nostalgia. Yes, this was fun when you were a kid and an idiot. And some of you are still idiots out there and will probably watch it and enjoy it. It's bad. It's awful. I can't watch this anymore. This not only insults minorities, this insults the Irish, which is very hard to do. This insults Cleveland, Ohio, which is also hard to do.
Very easy to do.
Yeah, and it's also insults writing, diction, the way that people interact with each other, a mother-son relationship. This insults a grandfather to son relationship. It insults Cadillac.
It also just insults Irish
It
people
insults
too.
potatoes. As someone who is like 90% Irish, I was mad watching this.
I bet if we went to Dublin and grabbed someone off the street and made them watch this, they would hate us forever. They would.
They would probably fight us.
They already wanted to fight you just for talking to
But
them.
this
They
time
would have
they
to
want to
put their
kill
beer
you.
and cigarette down, and then they would try to fight you. I mean, you'd get away pretty easily because that's their aerobic activity is smoking cigarettes.
Smoking cigarettes and
Christ.
drinking Jameson.
Yep, that's exactly
This
what it is.
episode has turned into an Irish hate fest. So,
And so, Kyle,
Well, as it should be.
does this movie hold up?
0% no. Go fuck yourselves.
Andrew, does this movie hold up?
you know, I would have to say no. No, it doesn't. I mean, Jesus Christ, no.
I actually would say this was one of the least enjoyable movies I've watched on our podcast.
It was
I mean,
up there.
Blank Check was better than this. Godzilla was better than this.
Yep, it was more entertaining. This
is
I
just
don't
like-
think Batman and Robin Was better.
No, that's still the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
But like
but
everything else,
this is a close second. Honestly,
Yeah, this is this is right there with Godzilla. I don't. One thing I would give it over Godzilla is it was shorter. Godzilla was way too long.
Yeah, but at least Godzilla had like helicopters and things exploding and Hank Azaria and
Hank Azaria.
This movie had people shrinking.
Yeah, I don't give a
It
fuck.
did.
I don't care.
did.
So we're already way past what we needed to say about this. So Chase, just wrap it up.
This was our first step into these made-for-TV Disney movies. I do know that we're probably going to end up watching one more down the road, but I am now not looking forward to that.
Hey, don't spoil it.
And Derek, if you're listening, wink, 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 shuffle, shuffle. But that about wraps up this short episode. We dove into Luck of the Irish for you for St. Patrick's Day. Found out it does not hold up. We didn't even want to give it a full episode courtesy. We did the heavy lifting for you. Just go and vote that one down on IMDb.
Yep.
That's Andrew over there in the corner. Kyle's via satellite phone.
In Hamilton County, Tennessee.
At least you're not from Cleveland. Everyone go to our Instagram. Find out what we're doing next. Kyle, do you know what we're doing next?
Your mom.
That's right.
Yep.
We hope you have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, and we will see you next time.
Top of the morning to you.
Top of the morning to you. Later. Bye-bye.